Welcome to Fazza Poetry World, where hearts turn into poetry. I need to be honest with you, not in a rushed way, not in a careless way, but in the kind of way where every word has weight, where every feeling is laid down gently between us like something fragile and real. Before you, I was different. Not broken, not incomplete, just untouched by this kind of depth. I was calm in ways I never questioned. I never looked over my shoulder. I never felt that sudden tightening in my chest. People came and went, voices passed by, attention shifted around me, and I remained still, unshaken, almost distant from it all. Nothing held that kind of power over me. Then you walked into my life, and without asking, without warning, you changed the way my heart behaves. At first, I didn't even notice it. It was subtle, like a quiet shift in the air before a storm you don't yet see. But slowly, I began to feel something unfamiliar. Not anger, not control, but something deeper, something softer, something far more dangerous. Fear. Not fear of you, but fear of losing you. Because loving you is not light. It is not something I can casually hold. It is something that roots itself deep inside me, something that makes everything else feel smaller in comparison. You don't even try, and yet you shine. When you enter a room, the space changes. People notice. They pause. They listen. Your laughter doesn't just sound, it lingers. Your presence doesn't just exist, it fills. And I stand there, proud, so proud, to be the one beside you. But sometimes, quietly, something flickers inside me. A small fire. Not loud enough for the world to see, but strong enough for me to feel. I notice the way someone looks at you a little longer than they should. The way someone laughs a little too quickly at your words. The way attention leans toward you like gravity. And in that moment, my chest tightens. Not because I doubt you. Never that. But because I know your worth. And the world has a way of reaching for beautiful things. There was a moment, you remember it, maybe you don't, someone laughed at something you said, just a little too much, just a little too loud, and for a second, I felt it. That instinct. Not to control you, not to claim you, but to protect what feels like the most precious thing I have ever been given. And that scared me. Because I realized, this is what loving you has done to me. Jealousy doesn't always shout. It doesn't always arrive with anger or sharp words. Sometimes, it whispers. It appears in quiet moments, like when your phone lights up and your face softens into a smile. And suddenly, my mind begins to move faster than reality. Who is it? What did they say? Why did it make you smile like that? And just like that, a single moment becomes a story. A small detail becomes a whole scene. A harmless truth becomes something heavy in my chest. I know it's my mind. I know it's not real. but knowing doesn't always stop the feeling from rising. That's where I had to change, not you. Me. I had to learn that not every thought deserves to be believed. That my mind, as powerful as it is, can also create illusions that feel like truth. So I started teaching myself something new. Pause. When the feeling rises, I don't react immediately anymore. I let it sit. I breathe through it. I count the seconds between emotion and action. Because sometimes, those few seconds are the difference between hurting you and understanding myself. I learned to question my thoughts instead of obeying them. To ask myself, is this real, or is this fear speaking? I learned to replace sharp reactions with soft questions. To come to you calmly instead of building silent storms inside me. And something changed. I also learned the power of naming what I feel. I feel jealous right now. Not hiding it. Not denying it. Not pretending I'm unaffected. Just acknowledging it. And somehow, the moment I name it, it loses some of its power. It stops being this overwhelming force and becomes something I can actually understand. Something I can handle. I found small ways to ground myself too. Simple things, almost invisible to anyone else. Folding a napkin slowly. Holding onto something steady. Tracing patterns with my fingers just to remind myself. I am here, not inside my thoughts. Because when my mind tries to pull me away, I bring myself back. Back to you. Back to reality. Back to truth. I even made quiet rules for myself, not rules of restriction, but rules of growth. Don't react immediately. Ask gently, not sharply. Remember the 1,000 ways you've shown me love, not the one moment my fear tries to twist. Listen to your voice, not the noise in my head. Trust your actions, not my imagination. These became my anchor. Because loving you deserves stability, not chaos. And through all of this, I started listening to you differently. Not with suspicion, but with care. I hear the honesty in your tone. I see the consistency in your actions. I feel the truth in the way you show up. And slowly, the fears begin to fade. Not completely, but enough. Enough for me to breathe again. I also realized something important. Loving you should not mean losing myself. So I started building my own world too. My own routines. My own growth. My own identity outside of us. Because when I stand strong on my own, I don't feel like I'm losing everything if something shakes. And that made my love healthier. Softer. Stronger. More real. I began to share my feelings with you, not in overwhelming waves, but in small, honest moments. A quiet. I felt a little uneasy earlier. A soft check-in instead of a silent withdrawal. And those small moments, they brought us closer. Because where jealousy tries to create distance, honesty builds connection. And every time I stumble, I choose repair. A small apology. A quiet explanation. A promise to try again. And with each repair, we become stronger. More understanding. More patient. More real. I've learned something I didn't know before you. Love is not about holding tighter. Love is about trusting deeper. It's about choosing you, without trying to control you. It's about believing in us, even when my fears try to speak louder than truth. And I'm still learning. Jealousy still visits me sometimes, quietly, unexpectedly. But now, I don't run from it, and I don't let it control me. I meet it with awareness, with patience, with strength. Because I don't want a love built on fear. I want a love built on choice. A love where we wake up every day, and choose each other again. Freely. Honestly. Completely. So if you ever notice me go quiet for a moment, or feel my hand holding yours just a little tighter, don't misunderstand it. It's not ownership. It's not insecurity trying to cage you. It's just my heart, reacting to loving someone who means everything to me. And I promise you this, I will keep growing. I will keep learning. I will keep choosing trust over fear. Because you, and what we have, deserve a love that is steady, a love that is clear, a love that is brave enough to feel deeply, without ever holding too tight. And baby, if this is where my truth ended, it would still be incomplete, because loving you didn't just teach me about fear, it taught me about courage too. Courage, not the loud kind, not the kind people clap for, but the quiet kind, the kind that happens inside a heart. When it chooses trust, again and again, even after feeling afraid. There are nights, when everything is silent, and my thoughts finally slow down, and in that stillness, I realize something beautiful: you've never given me a real reason to doubt you. Not once. And that realization humbles me. Because all those storms I sometimes feel, they were never created by you, they were echoes of my own fear, trying to protect something it didn't understand how to hold. And I started asking myself, if you've always been steady, if you've always been real, then why should I let imaginary shadows stand between something so pure? That's when I began to change even deeper. I stopped fighting my feelings, and started understanding them. I realized jealousy isn't my enemy, it's just a signal. A signal that says, this matters to you. And you matter to me, more than I can explain. So instead of pushing that feeling away, I began to reshape it. I turned it into appreciation. When I see someone admire you now, I don't just feel that old fire, I remind myself. Of course they notice you, look at you, feel your energy, see your light. You are not ordinary. And loving someone extraordinary means the world will notice too. But here's what the world doesn't have: they don't have your quiet moments. They don't have your real thoughts. They don't have the way your voice softens when you talk to me, or the way your guard drops when you feel safe. They don't have us. And that is something no attention can replace. I started holding on to that truth. Not tightly, but confidently. Because love is not about being the only person someone sees, it's about being the one they choose, even when the world is full of options. And you choose me. Every day, in your own ways. Sometimes it's in the way you reply, sometimes it's in the way you remember small things, sometimes it's just in your presence, your consistency, your effort. And I've learned to notice that more. To focus on what is real, instead of what my fears try to imagine. I also began forgiving myself. For the moments I overthought, for the times I stayed quiet when I should have spoken gently, for the times my mind made things heavier than they were. Because growth doesn't come from punishment, it comes from understanding. And I am understanding myself more, because of you. You didn't just bring love into my life, you brought awareness. You made me face parts of myself I didn't even know existed. And instead of running from that, I'm learning to grow through it. Step by step. Slowly, but honestly. I'm learning that love is not perfect, but it is patient. It allows space for mistakes, as long as there is effort to heal them. And I promise you, my effort is real. When I feel that small spark of jealousy now, I don't let it turn into distance. I turn it into closeness. I remind myself to come closer to you, not pull away. To understand, not assume. To communicate, not create silence. Because silence is where fear grows the most. And I don't want fear to have space between us. I want honesty there. Warmth there. Truth there. There's something else I realize too: you are not something I can lose like an object. You are a person, with a heart, with choices. And love, real love, is not about holding someone in place, it's about giving them the freedom to stay. And trusting that they will. So I don't want to hold you tighter out of fear, I want to stand beside you with confidence. Not because I'm not afraid, but because I choose to be brave despite it. Because love like this, it deserves bravery. It deserves a version of me that doesn't shrink into insecurity, but rises into trust. And I'm becoming that version, for you, for us, and for myself. So if someday, you see me pause again, or take a quiet breath before speaking, know that I am choosing growth in that moment. I am choosing us. I am choosing to protect what we have, not by controlling it, but by nurturing it. Because what we have is not fragile in a weak way, it's delicate in a meaningful way. It deserves care, attention, and honesty. And I will keep giving that, every single day. Not perfectly, but sincerely. Because at the end of everything, past all the thoughts, all the fears, all the emotions, one truth remains unchanged: I love you. Not with fear anymore, but with understanding. Not with insecurity, but with growth. Not with the need to hold you back, but with the desire to walk beside you, freely, fully, and forever choosing you.